If you had to guess who the most popular commander in the Lord of the Rings Rise to War was, who would you pick? And to make it fair, we can break it up by tier. So most popular T1, most popular T2, most popular T3. If you want to go ahead and make a guess for each of those tiers, go ahead and pause the video. Otherwise, let's dive in and see what the data says. All right, before we take a closer look at the data, I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to Thanatos, MD9, and to anybody else that has been working on this project. I take no credit for this. I'm simply the messenger showing you what their hard work has shown thus far. And also, I want to mention I'm going to put a link to the Google form survey in the description of this video. If you want to participate and lend us your data, that would be awesome. The more data we have, the more accurate of a picture we can paint. We'll also probably do a very similar thing for evil commanders in the future. And hopefully next month I can do a full update after we get even more responses. So far it looks like we have like 218 responses, I believe. If we could get like 500 plus responses, that would be incredible. And next month, I'll want to do a video on good side and evil side once we have more responses and more clear data. So it was a little bit of a trick question when I asked you who is the most popular commander in this game, because a lot of it depends on how you measure that sort of thing. If you only talk about which commander have the most people recruited, we can take a look at these blue bars. The smaller the blue bar means less people have not recruited this commander, which means that more people have recruited this commander. For T1 good factions, this actually works out relatively well. Dwalin is the most recruited T1 good faction commander, and he is the T1 good faction commander that is seen most often at higher levels of respect. We've defined higher levels of respect for this project as anywhere between R10 and R17. So far, 127 of the 211 Dwalin responses that we have received are people who have him at respect 10 plus. Well, I guess if I said 10 plus, I'd have to include the 12 responses that have him at R18 to R25. But that metric does not work all the time. So if we look at T2 good faction commanders, Gandalf the Grey is the most recruited commander. However, Theoden is the commander that shows up most often between respect 10 and respect 17. 94 people that have responded so far say that they have Theoden at R10 to 17. Whereas with Gandalf the Grey, that's only 87 people. And a somewhat similar trend shows up if we take a look at Tier 3 commanders. For Tier 3 commanders, Gandalf the White is the most recruited commander. However, Galadriel is actually the commander that shows up the most often at higher levels of respect. For T3 commanders, we have bumped quote-unquote high respect down to anywhere between respect 5 and respect 9. 66 people so far out of the 218 that have given us Galadriel data have said that their Galadriel is somewhere between respect 5 and 9, whereas only 46 people have Gandalf the White in those same respect levels. And somewhat surprisingly, I kind of thought that Gil-galad would be higher than this, as he's such a crazy, powerful, and seemingly extremely popular commander for PvP these days. Only 49 people have him somewhere between respect 5 and 9. I do want to point out, however, that 17 people have Gil-galad between R10 and R17, whereas only 10 people have said that they have taken Galadriel that far. So perhaps people feel like they are getting more value out of their Gil-galads, and that's causing them to push Gil and also Gandalf the White. Very similar numbers there, with 16 people having him between R10 and R17. So perhaps people feel that they are getting more value out of their Gil-galads and Gandalf the Whites than Galadriel's. Perhaps people feel like those commanders simply scale better with respect than Galadriel does. Either way, it's very interesting to me to see that in this case, for T3s, the commander that shows up the most often at R5 to 9 is not necessarily the commander that shows up the most often from R10 to R17. In an attempt to more objectively answer this question, we have come up with a point system to rate the commanders. I say we, but I believe MD9 is pretty much the sole genius behind this point system. And basically, what happens is we take a look at the top 4 highest respect commanders for each player who answers the responses. And the respect is like converted a little bit because obviously T3 commanders, you have to get 9,000 respect even to recruit them, but you also get 300 respect per item. So there is some normalization there of the data. But basically, we take a look at the top 4 commanders, give them some amount of points based on if they're the rank 1 commander for that player versus the rank 4 commander for that player. Then all of those points are added to that specific commander. If there is a tie, both commanders will receive the points. And any commander that is not at least respect 3 is given no points at all. Then all of the points that each commander gets from every single player are added up, and this is our data so far. So right now, as of the recording of this video on 8:31 p.m. Eastern on October the 21st, 2022, based on our responses, kind of unsurprisingly, Gandalf the Grey is the most popular commander, followed by Theoden, Gil-galad, Galadriel, Gandalf the White, Dane, Dwalin, Gimli, and Aragorn II. And that rounds out the top 10. I won't go through the entire list with you. The reason I'm not particularly surprised that Gandalf the Grey takes the number 1 spot is because in Season 1, good players get him from just opening 50 Matham chests, and he's an extremely efficient commander for PvE, and for a lot of people, he finds success in PvP as well. Theoden being another absolute monster in PvP, and he is pretty easy to obtain in Season 1 as well. So it doesn't really surprise me that the top 2 slots go to historically powerful commanders that are also guaranteed obtainable in Season 1, Gandalf the Grey being even easier to obtain than Theoden. Likewise, Aragorn II isn't considered to be a particularly top-tier commander. However, he does only cost $1 during Season 1. A lot of players can make that type of investment. $1 is not that much money. And in my opinion, it seems like he comes in more event chests than any other commander in the game. I swear like 50% of special Matham chests in this game give Aragorn II respect items in some way or another. So in closing out this video, I just want to ask if you guys want to participate, please feel free to do so. The link to the survey will be in the description of this video. You can always join my Discord and ask to participate in that aspect as well. And if you are some type of math genius and you would like to help us parse through all of this data, maybe refine the point system a little bit, or just contribute in some way, please do let Thanatos know on Discord. You can pop into my Discord and message him, or I will pop up his Discord ID in the video as well. All right, guys, thank you for watching.